As our world is becoming increasingly complex, technical, digital, global, I think there'll be quite a few opportunities for disruption of gendered ways of thinking and gendered ways in which we organize social structure. And we will need new ways of making sense of the world. So there will be lots of opportunities, both for women and men, and I think that's really rather exciting.
I think the answer to this question is endless, and as cheesy and cringy as it sounds, I think that women are capable of absolutely anything, and I really do think that we really can achieve everything we put our minds to. I hope that in the future there'll be more recognition of incredibly talented and hardworking women in many different industries. You know, it's shocking how few women actually make up you know, the media and the music industry. You know, a small fraction of the music that you hear is created by female producers, and I think that that's you know, an important thing to know about and to maybe learn about a bit more. And I hope and I know that in the future you know, women will be recognised a lot more for their talents and the things that they achieve. And I really do think the world is our oyster in that way, and for everyone, but women especially.
I think what the future holds, I could answer that by my wish maybe. So what I wish is, well, of course equity, but I think to achieve that it begins with simple things like education, and not just going to the university, but basic education, learning to read, so you're not put in a box where people make the decision for you. Because if you're able to read, then you can sign contract, you can understand contract, you can do a lot of stuff that we take for granted, like going to the bank and just having a bank account. So in some countries, it's just not possible right now for women to have access to that basic education. So I think that's what I would like the future to hold for women, is across the planet, for women to have access to education.
I think it's really positive. I think it's not just gender, it's the issues of inclusivity and diversity, flexibility in the workplace. It's all becoming more and more prevalent in the workplace. It's all becoming a real discussion point, and there are positive strides being made. It's a complex area and balance is really hard to achieve, but I'm very positive about what the future holds for women.
So what does the future hold for women? Well, I'm naturally an optimist, so I think the future is going to be great for women. I think this is going to be the century of women, the 21st century, because we're now going to consolidate on many rights and changes that have happened in the last century, and we're going to get that 50-50 of voice that is really important. So I think what the 21st century really holds for women is we're going to find our voice, and we're not going to put up with a lot of things we put up with before, because we now have power, not everywhere in the world, but I think that is increasing. And women all over the world are understanding that they have a part to play in their communities, in their governments, in their countries, and not just in their families. And I think that powerful voice of women will really change the world, and this will be the century of women, and I'm looking forward to that.
Based on the current situation in the UK, I think it is great to see that women are increasingly independent and they can choose career nearly in every sector that they want. There is a gradual change in thinking that there is a typical man job or a typical woman job, and I think these boundaries will continue dissolving. However, my concern is that career progression is not the same for women and men, especially when women decide to start a family. Their career progression is adversely affected. So there are some women who miss out on promotion because of maternity leave, or there are some talented women who decide to resign from the job and look after the children because of high childcare costs. So what I would really like to see in the future, that this pressure is relieved, and that women in the future can have the same chances to progress in their career as the men do.
In the next 5 to 10 years, I think the future is going to be really bright for women, and we'll probably see a huge increase in the number of women in leadership roles, particularly in politics, education and the private sector.
really tricky question. I think there are many different approaches to it, on really big scale issues, but also on everyday issues. And I suppose for me, thinking about issues of everyday sexism and just ways in which everybody, no matter what their gender, their sexuality, their race, their background, can be inclusive and sort of knowingly, intentionally inclusive of other people. I think it's quite easy, no matter what your gender, sexuality or race, to operate in ways that are so familiar to you because that's how you're brought up and you're not aware that you're disadvantaging other people through your actions. So I think trying to be more actively aware of other people's positions and worldviews in the small things is a way to move forward.